All right, hey, it says we're live. That's a good thing. This is the Preferred Lines. Hey, replay watcher, thanks for tuning in. Next week, try to join us live. We're every Monday. If you are watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. And then if you're on iTunes, that'd be great if you do the reviewing, the rating. What else we need, Joe? We need some Periscope retweets and hearts and all that stuff.
We can use it all. Yeah, I'm just firing out a tweet right now myself to make sure we get as many people in here. We want to see your comments. We hope to answer some questions, and we'll get to Luke here in a second.
Cool. All right. Well, then let's fire up this this theme music brought to you by my guy Quagnus. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, man.
Oh, hey, everybody. It's the Preferred Lines. It's another Monday. I'm Chad Eckert, and that's Joe Idone, and we've got a guy named Luke. He's going to be the guest here in a second. But before we get to you, Luke, hey, Luke, are you on Jock Market?
I am not. I don't think that's legal in Nevada. It's just my hunch.
Nice.
DFS isn't legal. I
think he's right.
Yeah.
No,
so
okay. Well, we'll give you a pass on it.
Fun stuff.
Well, good. Well, because I'm kind of glad you're not on the Jock Market because you'd probably be competing for the same guys as me. We would have probably gone in on Morikawa last week together, and you might have outbid me or made me pay more for him. I got Morikawa, who won the tournament at $6 a share. This is a stock market for athletes. It's amazing. And you can just buy the guy. You could trade the guy throughout the tournament. And I bought him Wednesday night when I was watching Joe's show, and I was happy about it for $6. And guess what? He pays out $25. It's great.
For every share.
Yes, it's amazing. So I got a $380 profit on my guy Morikawa alone on the Jock Market alone. So, hey, and then if you're into Billy Horschel, you could have had him at $4.60. That was great. Okay, so you know what? I had a great week on Jock Market, and I think you should sign up, and you should use that promo code that's scrolling across the bottom, and you get $20 to try it for free. It's a great app, and I'm trying to tell everybody to sign up for this thing because I'm having so much fun. Aren't you, Joe?
I get more and more people every week that hit me up just like curious about the screenshots that they see. So it's definitely becoming more popular. Like you said, use the promo code below. Free $20. $20 will go a long way. Could have got you about 3.5 shares of Colin Morikawa that would have ended up netting about $100. So what did you cash use? Did you cash out this week or what, big man?
Joe. Okay, I won the week. I don't know if it gets me anything, but I had the most profit out of everybody on the entire app on golf.
I saw you up there, dude. And what's cool, there's so many, like, we talk about betting and DraftKings and like so many of these ways that it's very easy to get your money into a lot of these apps and sites and very hard to get your money out. Not the case with Jock Market. It's very simple. It takes about 24 hours. I've done it multiple times. It's already in your account, right to your you say withdraw, they withdraw. There's no fees, none of the bullshit. They're not hitting you with like 15-18% rake. Great app if you're able to use it and it's legal in your state. Highly recommend it.
Yeah, sorry, Luke. It's not legal where you are. Luke, welcome to the program. You are the next guest. The Front Nine segment. Hey, every week we bring in somebody smarter than us to talk to and try to break it down. We need a different perspective because Joe and I can only yell at each other so much, and we do that at the back end of the show. So we'll bring you on. Luke Walker.
Yeah,
you are at Luke. Sweat it out. That's a great handle. I love that handle.
Thanks. Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller. So I'm really happy to be here.
Okay, well, so then you've seen it before. You know about the hot seat. You're about to be in the hot seat. The Front Nine segment. Are you ready to handle some of these questions? We're trying to go rapid fire. We're going to get your opinion on all sorts of things from your betting card to the betting board this week for the API, the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Do you guys like I drew this myself?
Wow, really?
Oh,
yeah, because I forgot to print it out when I was at my office.
You're like a Wiley in the making, huh?
Hey, I use both parts of my brain, eat both sides.
It's beautiful.
But anyway, how are you, Luke? Thanks for joining us. Could you please tell our audience who you are, where to find you, and why they should go and find you?
Yeah, I'm Luke Sweat It Out. You know, that's kind of been my like anonymous identity on the Twitter golf for a while. You can't really find me anywhere. That's where you can find me, Luke Sweat It Out. I don't write for anybody. I don't have any podcasts. I'm an attorney actually, so I have a full-time job that pays a lot
real
more
job
than what my golf bets pay. Although lately it's kind of close actually. So yeah, I mean, you can just find me on Twitter. You can follow my regular Twitter account, which is Luke Walk It Out. Yeah, so that's where the Sweat It Out came from. It was a play off my original one. You know, I've been on Twitter for whatever 12 years now, and I love Twitter. It's my absolute favorite thing in the world. So my like regular account, I just talk about stupid, you know, Oreos and whatever.
Oh, so then we don't want to follow that. We just want your Sweat It Out.
No, you do it. It's actually really funny. I say funnier stuff on that one, but I try to keep it all golf related on the Sweat It Out account.
We appreciate that. Us golf. We can't have this crap filling up our timelines. Us golf fanatics.
There's so many people in the golf space, and like people, I have to turn everybody's retweets off. Like I can't see it. I can't deal with what you're like retweeting and your nonsense. Like, let's stick to golf. This is why we're here, you know.
You are a family man. Before we started hitting record here and going live, which we do every Monday night on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. So comment along. We're doing that. We're commenting. You have a 6-week-old.
Yeah. Cassius, little Cassius James. He's
cute.
6.5 weeks. The cash man. He's been a cash man for me. I think I got like the nappy factor working for me.
Baby swag.
Yeah, I think I've hit 6 or 3 out of 6 since he was born. So I'm
that's good.
Happy swagging it right now.
That's amazing. Hey, so then you're part of the team dad. So because we're both dads too, and we just like to do this to get out of our houses for a couple of minutes. I'm in the garage hiding. So we're gonna rapid fire questions at you. We're gonna ask you some dumb questions and some good ones, and maybe someone will be mad that we didn't get right to the betting board, but we're gonna just try to.
Oh yeah, we're drinking beers. We're cracking beers, right?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. If you are at home, cheers to you. Crack away.
Didn't want to forget that. That was my favorite.
No, we have to take time to crack.
That was the thing I was looking forward to most. I haven't hardly had a drink since old Cashman was born. So
right on, or talk to friends,
right, or done anything other than rock him. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, it's
beautiful.
It's a fun world, that dad life. But Luke, let's talk about golf life. We liked Morikawa last week, and not only because he was 40-1, that was amazing, but because he's played so well with his irons the week before and he putted poorly. Is that why you were on Morikawa last week to win the WGC Workday? What led you to Morikawa?
Yeah, I mean, for me, betting Morikawa was pretty easy. I had him at Workday at Muirfield last year. I had him at the PGA. So, like, I'm betting on house money, you know, with house money on Morikawa basically for the rest of his life or my life. And then, you know, we kind of look for these guys who fade in their odds, and it's like he faded the number 40-1. He's the number 6 player in the world. At the Genesis, he was tied with, I think, JT, you know, first strokes game approach. So it's like the irons are locked in. Iron play is going to be the most important thing on the PGA Tour week in and week out. He was putting awful, just terrible. But like when you're putting from inside 5 feet, you could be putting on gravel. You're going to make quite a few of them. It doesn't matter what's happening. So I was just thinking, you know, 40-1, this guy's won 3 tournaments in, at that time, I think it was 42 starts. So it's like he's winning one every 14 times he plays. 40-1 is a good number on a guy like that. Like that's an auto bet number for me. So that was my thing on Morikawa. So yeah, I was all in. And then day one was a little sketch. You know, he kept going in the water, missed a 2-footer, and it was like, okay, yeah, his putting sucks. Okay. And then he started making them because he was inside 10 feet all day. And, you know, he does what he does. He wins tournaments. He's kind of a killer. Like he doesn't have the attitude of that. Like he seems like a very quiet, reserved dude. He's a killer.
Absolutely. Savvy bets by both of you guys. Congrats. Like I'm not so much, I try not to lean as much as stats, which is why I'm kind of upset that I missed this. I look for things exactly like what you guys saw, and finding an elite player whose odds tend to drift a little bit into that realm where they present a little value. So that's why I'm upset that I missed them. Are you, Luke, for you, is it more Like I noticed you put your card out earlier today. Is your Monday card kind of locked in? Are you going through stats to do that? Or are you more of just a gut plays? This is who I'm going with this week.
Yeah, no, this was tough to go early this week because actually what that meant is that I didn't even wait for odds from 2 of my books. So I've got 3 books that I have access to that post odds here in Reno. And, you know, one of them is, I don't know if we can say stuff, but so one of them's kind of a big,
say whatever you want, dude. We're good.
Yeah. So one of them's a big player here. They've got the app. They're like, you know, most of the casinos, their sports book is this particular
Cantor.
Yeah. So they're the big boys in town. And so their odds were up at like 9 a.m. And that's kind of typical. I have 2 other smaller books that they don't post until like Monday evening or sometimes Tuesday, or they don't post at all. So it's tough for me because a lot of times those odds come out. I'll see people posting the DraftKings odds and whatever, and I'm like, okay, those are some numbers I'm interested in. We'll see what I can get. My odds come out, and I'm like, okay, that's a number that's as good as it's going to get. I'm just going to bet that right now because it's going to get hammered down. But then there's some where I'm like, okay, you know, Patrick Reed, for instance, this week, I'm like, okay, they posted a 20. Like, could I get a 25 maybe? Is that 20 going to get hammered down if I don't bet it? What's going to happen? And so it's tough a lot of times because I got to wait for those other 2 books. And so this week, so I wanted to be on with you guys and talk about my bets. I just went ahead and fired on them. So, but what I'm doing, you know, my kind of process, I think is what you were getting at there, is on Sundays, I'm digging into the next week. Like as I'm hopefully sweating out, you know, my guy, I'm listening to Mayo's early look. I'm on Fantasy National going through the course breakdown. I'm on Data Golf looking at the course correlations, you know, the similar courses and the relative importance of the different stats. And then I also do this thing. I've got this app. It's like anybody can get it. Actually, this is kind of a secret that I don't know if I've ever talked about. Bushnell Golf. You guys familiar with Bushnell, the company? They do like rangefinders.
Oh yeah.
So they at my course member guest last year, one of the T prizes was the Wingman product. It's like a Beats pill, and it magnets to your cart, plays music, has the app, and then like when you're playing, you can press the little button and it'll GPS your like distance to the middle of the green, back green, front green.
Cool.
And then you can like drag the little cursor around to like see distance to certain bunkers or water or whatever. And so I actually go on there and I pull up all the courses and I go through hole by hole and I like look at like what I think, where I think like guys' landing zones are going to be, right? Like can they bomb it 300 to this spot, or is that like danger? And so that was actually, I think, really helpful at the concession because we didn't know what it was like.
Sure.
I think a lot of people thought it was going to be like hit bombs and hit a 125-yard wedge. And it was like, no, those 300 to 330 spots are tight. Like you're not going to get it in there. You're going to be hitting 20 yards back. And you're calling Morikawas who are hitting 150-yard wedge or, you know, whatever, 150 to 175 close. That's your guy. So that's kind of what I do on Sunday. You know, I get a feel for who's in the field, and then I try to like kind of think about who I like for the week. I look at losing golf bets, Power Fade. He's a Twitter dude. He puts out his like projections. So I kind of try to think of like, okay, who's going to be what price? Who do I like? Who am I looking for? So that way, Monday morning when odds come out, like I'm ready to fire. And so yeah, that's what I did this week. You know, I kind of knew who I was looking at. I saw some decent enough numbers on my main book, fired on them. And then these other books, you know, whenever they get around to posting odds, lazy assholes, I'll see if we need to double up on a bet or, you know, if there's any numbers I can't pass up.
Okay. I mean, this is kind of not on top. I mean, you know, we're a structured podcast. We send our guests questions and stuff like that, but this doesn't pertain to the question of the next question. Burns, Bermuda Birds, Sam Burns. We're all talking about betting Burns. Burns. Everybody's got Burns on their card, and I want to get right to it because I want to know, does this matter? Because I think our community is sharp. And so therefore, does it really matter if it's a community bet? Or are you in the position where typically, if it's a community bet, that is a recipe for disaster? Where are we at with Burns? We're just going to bet him blindly, just close our eyes, bet Burns.
I have a very complicated relationship with Sam Burns because I've been betting him a lot. You know, I had him like at Safeway and he was in the mix. I've had him basically every week and he's in the mix every week, and he gets a sniff of the lead and he crumbles. And so it's tough. But So I can't get off that train. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm so far invested into Burns that if I miss it, like I got to quit.
Well, while the community hits it, you'd be like,
exactly. And
FOMO.
So, oh God, yeah. So, but to answer the other part of the question with like the community bets, I do kind of try to stay away from those a lot of time because, you know, I mean, sometimes I'll bet it and then I see everybody else is betting it and I'm like, oh, well, I burned that money, but I burned that money. But the community bets just don't seem to ever work out because golf betting is not that easy. You know, it's not that obvious. Like if it was that easy, casinos wouldn't be built 50 stories high. Like it's just not that easy. So the guys who like people are just hammering like they already won the tournament very rarely win the tournament. But with Bermuda Burns, guy is playing some golf right now. And this is a field that is not completely stacked at the top end. It's a little weaker. So I think that like he's legitimately in contention, or, you know, could contend this week. And he's a guy who kind of gets forgotten. I think that he was on like a Golf Digest cover, I want to say, with like Joaquin Neiman and Cam Champ. You know, so he's supposed to be like a guy, you know. And then I think he's broke his wrist playing like pickup hoops or something.
Yes, exactly. I'm glad you know that.
And then he you know, had a year off, and then he kind of comes back and he's like pretty good in these kind of weaker fields, and he's just kind of like Sam Burns in it, and like, but
he seems like a different guy this year.
He's in contention every week. I mean, I've said it on Twitter a couple times. Thursday, Friday, Sam Burns is official world golf ranking #1. Like that guy.
So then maybe he's a DFS showdown play.
I think that that's a play. I think that he's a top 10, top 20 play. But he will win a golf tournament in his career.
Yeah, he
will win multiple. You know, and I'm going to be there for it. I promise you.
He's going to break through soon. I can remember when he kind of first, like the first time I heard about Sam Burns, I was at the Honda and everyone was following Tiger. And he got paired up with Tiger and actually like outplayed him that day. It was unbelievable. But just like following him, like he had kind of an aura about him, like he wasn't intimidated by the moment too much. And I was very impressed with him. But, you know, it's not as strong of a field as we saw last week, right, Luke? But who sort of would you look to be targeting at the top of the board? Like maybe guys under 20 to 1.
Sure. So, I mean, if you guys follow my cards week to week, like you won't see many teens, you know, numbers under 20. I just, the way that I like to build my cards, you know, I like to have more guys, exposure to more guys. And so the only way to do that is to avoid the top of the board. I think Victor Hovland is super dangerous this week, though. I mean, that guy is just torching the earth right now. I mean, he's so good. So I'd be afraid of him. He's kind of the guy I think that we got to beat this week. I'm not too worried about actually Rory's showing some form lately, so I'm a little worried about Rory, past winner here. So I'm a little worried about him. Unbettable number.
Yeah.
Bryson, I'm not that worried about. Like, I just don't like what I'm seeing from him right now. Unbettable number anyways. So Hovland is the guy I'm afraid of. And then obviously Hatton, I think, is kind of the popular guy under 20 because he's like 18. So he's almost in that range where it's like, that's value. Right. You know, I just don't, I'm not going to go there this year. I actually hit Hatton at the API last year, but that was like 50 to 1. And so 18 to 1, I'm just not that interested. But if I was going to bet somebody under 20, it would be Victor Hovland.
What about the guys in the middle? Like besides Burns at 50 or 40 or whatever, he's now down to like 35 or something. But what guy in the mid range? I mean, are you who do you like in the middle? It's hard to say.
So I think that there's 3 names in the 20s that are showing up a lot, and one of them is showing up the least, I think, on people's cards early, and that's who I'm hitting because I am a Sungjae stan. Sungjae is my guy. He loves Florida. He loves Bermuda. He's a Florida winner. Last week was a little off. He was a little rusty, I think, because he hadn't played in like 3 weeks, which for him might as well be 3 years.
Exactly.
And so, you know, Reed is going to be a popular guy, and it's hard to go against Reed because he's kind of in that range too, where he wins often enough that like 20 to 1 he's probably going to pay off at that number. I seem to like Reed at more tests that short game is important. You know, if you look at like his wins, he's always gaining like 5+ strokes short game. Farmers was incredible. He just like everybody was missing greens, but he was the only one not making bogeys ever. So that I feel like that's when Reed wins, is in those tougher kind of tests. So this one where I think that it's more of an approach game kind of thing. I'm not going to go the Reed route. I'm going Sung Jae. A lot of people are going to be on Matthew Fitzpatrick, which give me a break. No,
you don't like him?
No, he's never won in America. He's never won. So I looked it up. Yet. Matthew Fitzpatrick has 37 starts that are non-majors, non-WGCs on American soil. He's got 0 wins. So at 25-1, even if he wins this week, like I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to care if I miss it because he's probably not going to win for another 30 events. Like if you look at what he pays off at, that's not, he's the anti-Colin Morikawa, like I was talking about earlier. Colin's won 4 times in 44 events.
Now, how do you rate that, Luke? Like, so I think that a lot of times I think along the same lines, right? There's the guys who have the clutch factor and the ability to close, but it's such an intangible thing that, like, a lot of people don't like to factor it in because you can't put a stat on it and you can't prove it out in a model, but it's just something that's there. But it's like Fitz always seems to play good on tough golf courses. He seems to top 5 a ton. I think he's finished 3rd here in his first start or something like that. Yeah. There's something just about guys that can win. Like, how do you weigh that into your picks?
Yeah, that's a tough, that's tough because it's like I bet Sam Burns all the time. So like, guy can't win. Mm-hmm. But like, it's tough, and I think that it takes kind of some like trial and error. I'm learning that with a lot of guys where like I run my models and I look at all these correlation courses and stats and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this guy's got a great chance. And then he always has a good week, but he never wins. And so it's like, okay, what does it take to win on the PGA Tour? And you look at the guys who are winners and you see the same names. You see Patrick Reed, you see Brooks Koepka, you see Colin Morikawa, you see Justin Thomas. Like, so it is, I don't know how to like quantify it. I wish that there was that strokes gained clutch or strokes gained. Steve Bamford calls it strokes gained mental fortitude, It's really tough, but like that's I think the kind of thing that I have recently started looking at is like wins versus starts. What is that ratio? Is a guy paying off at numbers that he goes off at? And like Patrick Reed pays off at numbers that he goes off at, especially if it's 30 or 40 or 50. Like that pays off.
Like a Xander doesn't.
Like a Tony doesn't. Like a Rory lately doesn't. Like,
well, there's such a difference. Like. There's such a difference in betting outrights, right? So these guys can pay off in things like Jock Market. They can pay off in things like DraftKings. And Finau is an incredible like asset to have on Jock Market. Incredible to almost have to roster him in DraftKings.
Have to.
But with your outright tickets, at least I don't do each ways. I don't think Chad does each ways. I don't know if you have each ways at those books in Nevada, but it's pretty much win or a second place is as good as a missed cut. So like you were saying, you want guys who've checked those boxes on a Sunday before and proven that they can stand up to the competition and do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so then at what point do you do a top 10 bet? Because you can do a top 5 or a top 10 bet and you can just eat the money there. I mean, a plus 350 on a top 5 for a really good player, like that sometimes versus a 12-1 could actually be a better bet. And when it comes down to the end of the day, like bad putt here, a missed shot here. That's the difference between a 3rd and a 5th and a 1st and a 2nd. I mean, like, it's insane how hard it is to win golf tournaments on the tour. We just saw people tweeting this week about whether it's luck. Is it luck that Tony? I mean, because Tony and Morikawa have the same stats, but then number of wins over the last whatever. So it's just like, do you go top 10s? Do you go top 5s? Do you do that on your card?
So it's tough for me. Like I mentioned, obviously I'm in Nevada. It's so weird because Nevada is like gambling's been legal forever. It's the gambling mecca of the world. Like people come to Vegas to gamble. Reno is not close to Vegas. It's 7 hours away. For those of you who don't know your Nevada geography, but we're the same, we're in the same boat as them. And so we've had legal gambling forever. I've been betting parlay cards. I had my dad putting them in when I was 10 years old. Like I've been betting my whole life, and golf betting in Nevada we probably have the worst menus of anybody in the country. I mean, like if you have access to DraftKings or FanDuel Sportsbook, you have a better menu than I do.
Do you think that menu will change though as they whittle down their customer? Like, because they're just trying to get people to bet, right?
You would think. I don't know though, because like we get outright cards, and we have some tournament matchups, and they're always tough. They're like the two dudes who would be closest in the odds. So it's like picking a winner is so hard. We get day-to-day matchups, individual round matchups. We don't get top 10s, top 5s, top 20s, and we get none of that. We don't get the miscuts.
So then what's going to happen, Luke, is DraftKings is going to eat all the customers that are usually doing what you've been doing for 30 years. So your guys are dinosaurs. They need to change. They need to get on the modern way that people want to throw money out there. And like
preaching to the ones that are I think that you underestimate the lobbyists that these sports books have.
Oh, sure.
Mm-hmm. It's a powerful force, and so it's a
well, I'm just a little guy in my garage in Minnesota, man. It's just going right over my head. Like, I'm not trying to.
I mean, that's the thing is like I can't believe that DFS isn't legal, but until Nevada sports books and casinos start getting a cut of the rake, for DFS stuff, it's never.
They should just start their own DFS in the casinos or whatever.
And I can't believe they haven't yet. It's crazy. Like it's pathetic. I mean, because I have I talked about the 3 books. One of the books that I have, they post maybe 20 guys on their outright card. The rest of the guys are in the field.
Yeah.
So come on.
It's pathetic. In
the field's like 8-1 or what?
The field's like it's like 200, like 2-1. Yeah. Like plus 200. Yeah.
What about, do they give you any opportunities to play futures? Like, you got any Masters bets this year?
Yeah. So that's the only one, the only major you'll get is Masters futures. You won't get US Open or PGA or British.
So then what are you really doing to scratch your itch, Luke? Are you really just going on these apps like everybody else?
Yeah, no, no. I bet local. I bet Nevada.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Nevada boy. I support Nevada economies, so it's like I'm not going to outside markets, but I bet college basketball throughout the week. I bet NFL. I bet, but like PGA betting is my true love. And so it's like I just spend my week doing the research. I really spend a lot of time throughout the week when I have the time digging into the Fantasy National models and just listening to the podcasts. I listen to like 8 different podcasts in my golf rotation. So that's kind of how I just I wait for Thursday, and like Thursday's my day, and then we go.
Right on.
So I'm betting the round-to-round matchups or individual round matchups. I don't do a ton of the full round matchups because I just, you could be dead on Thursday, and I don't like that. I like to get some information, some like live strokes gained stuff to factor into future bets. But
let me ask you a couple rapid questions before we get you out of here and give us your preferred play and all that. Are you team grass? Are you a guy that looks at the grass type?
I think I just hopped off team grass last week.
Oh, really?
Last week. I've always been a team grass guy because you look at the splits on Fantasy National, we all use that. We can all see the splits, and it's like there's guys clearly where one grass is better than the other. And I think that's what got a lot of people off Colin Morikawa this week, is because his Bermuda splits are terrible. He's not good on Bermuda grass, period.
Relative to how good he is on other grasses.
Okay,
right. So then you got to use it to, when to use it and not to use it. It's like an elite player, doesn't necessarily matter. Maybe you're your $7,000 flyer on DraftKings. That's when you kind of care more or less. How about you on the course history side of things? Are you course history or are you recent form or are you both? Do you factor that into your play?
Yeah. So I was thinking about that question earlier because I don't know if you guys use Green Square Golf. It's Wiley and Matt Miller's deal.
Mike.
Or Mike Miller, not Matt Miller. Mike, I apologize. I love you.
There's a couple of Matt Millers out there.
Yeah. Matt Miller's my other guy at the Draws and Fans. Mike Miller, he's the god. So I love that stat because, just visually it's so easy to look at course form, recent form. And I think that I'm probably 60-40 course form versus recent form. Because if you're playing bad golf, you can show up to your favorite golf course and play bad golf. But also you can be playing bad golf and show up to a place you love and play some sick golf. And I think that the best example of that for me that I factor into my capping, my handicapping is Siwoo Kim. I bet Siwoo Kim at the Waste Management. And because he was coming off a win, then he had another he had a decent week at Farmers. He missed the cut, but he had like one good round, one bad. So like his form was hot. And then he goes to Waste Management, and if you filter it on Fantasy National of strokes gained at TPC Scottsdale, he was dead last. And I was like, oh no, he's playing better golf than he's always played before. Like he's gonna be fine. He was not fine. He sucked.
No, he was bad, right?
Yeah. So it's like there's certain courses that just don't work for a guy. Or there's certain courses that do. So I think it's like 60-40 course form versus recent form for me.
Okay.
Before we get you out of here, Luke, preferred play, one pick. Who's going to win the API?
Oh, that's so stressful. I think my preferred play this week, and it depends on the number you can get. Oh,
let's just go with this actual signature by the baby boy himself. If you guys are on YouTube, I've got an autograph by Sungjae Im. Come on, are we going?
That's beautiful. How much do you want for that? I'll pay you for that.
Right? It's not
I
eBay. I'm
more
sure.
follow money burning a hole in my pocket. No,
I'm not parting with this.
Really
this is my true price possession.
Oh right, you still have it. You haven't sold it. After
I did lower the price on eBay for my Justine Reed and Patrick Reed combo autograph. It's on eBay right now for $249.99.
Yeah, 249 cents, and I'm in, brother.
Who do you got? Who are we winning with?
I think my preferred play is Francesco Molinari.
Yeah,
sweet.
He's a past winner.
We didn't even talk about him.
We didn't, no. But he's in great form. He's got 3 top 10s in his last 4. He's a winner here. I think he's trying to make that Ryder Cup because he's a Ryder Cup gangster.
Sure. He and what was it, Mollywood?
Yeah, Mollywood. And it's like he's just kind of that prototype for, I think, this course, like where distance isn't going to matter because there's a lot of forced layups. So he's going to be hitting fairways. He's going to hit good irons, and he's putted well on these greens before. So, I think that previous like putting performance on a certain green is more indicative of success than previous putting performance, just like in general. So I think Molly's my guy. I got him at 40.
I see that on your Twitter page at Luke Sweated Out. That's a great number. How'd you find that in your local?
That was my big boy book. Just posted a 40. Bunch of fools,
Yeah,
like,
smash that thing. Yeah. No wonder you like it.
Bunch of fools.
Luke, sweat it out. Dude, thank you for joining us. We're going to have you back again. We'll need you when, maybe there's a Vegas fall event that we'll have to have you on before.
Shriners?
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, recurring guest.
It's $100 flight down to Vegas. I can get there. We'll go to Shriners.
Cool. We'll be live on the scene.
Boots on the
reporter.
ground.
I'm into it. Hey, I'm so into it. And I don't think CJ Cup will ever be there again. That would have been cool. But hey, guys, anytime you want me,
we have to let Luke go. He has to go do bottle feeding for his 6-week-old. My God, your wife's probably pissed right now. We're going to release you.
Actually, I'm on dinner duty right now, so everybody's hungry in this family. So
that's true. You're on West Coast time. So yeah, go make dinner, Dad. Thanks for coming on, Luke. Appreciate you.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Thanks, buddy.
Luke sweated out. What a good guy, that Luke Walker. If you haven't followed him yet on Twitter, go follow him because he'll tell you respectable things about who to bet on. And now that we know he's good at it.
Yeah, it's a good dude. Good supporter of ours. He's always supported us. So you support us, we support you. He puts in the work. And he's dishing out some winners, right?
I like it. We like it. And we're going to make the turn. That's what we do. It's 33 minutes into this thing. And we're typically about 30 minutes in, going to the back nine. Because that's what we do. We do an hour broadcast every Monday afternoon on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. And we're looking at the betting board. And this week we have at the tippity tip top, you got Rory McIlroy at 9-1.
Oh,
he's back at Rory. I love it. Dude, and actually, do you think I think that Rory's due to run away with one of these things?
Oh, man, that's a tough question. Look, he plays his best. He seems to really ratchet things up here in this Florida swing. Obviously has the win here. I'm not going to bet it at 9-1 though. Florida is just weird, man. You can't. In Ryan and I talked about this last week, and everyone kind of had this narrative at concession because of the length that it was going to be a bomber's course. You can't overpower Florida. And that's why you don't see a lot of these guys play here. That's why you don't ever see Dustin Johnson play here, even though he lives in Florida, never plays an event here. That's why you don't often see Rory play down here. He skips a lot of these events. These guys, you just can't pound driver and bomb and gouge this place. It's win players, it's approach players, it's get it in play off the tee and try to stick your iron shots. So I'm not playing Rory. What about you?
You know, no. I mean,
yeah,
I do honestly think that we've run with a couple 50s and a 40 and 28s and things like that through the last few weeks, and there's been guys winning that are not the favorites of the field. So we're due as sort of guys that don't go to the top of the board to get ruined by a guy at the top of the board. So I wouldn't be shocked if Rory's the one that ruins us all, because he's kind of due and he hasn't won since his daughter. He had a girl, right? She was born. And gosh, this field is not that strong ultimately compared to the last couple of weeks. And Rory does like Florida golf. So we'll see. But I don't know. Do you like Hovland there? I mean, can you imagine at Hovland ahead of Bryson?
Hovland, but we've kind of been, and this is a similar thing with Rory, is like you kind of have to. When's the last time we saw someone like come in, one of the top 2 players on the board, and just win it? It's probably DJ at the Masters. It's been a while. So it seems like the opportunity is finding when these players, like we just talked about with Luke, the elite guys tend to drift a little bit, right? We saw it with Brooks. We saw it with, who won right before Brooks there?
Well, it was Morikawa, obviously, last week.
We saw with Reed. Reed drifted.
Oh, sure. Reed, too. It was like a 25 you could get him at.
We see these guys that are normally used to being at the top of the odds board come down a little bit, and they pop. Hovland's like the opposite, right? He's typically in the 25 to 35 range, and now all of a sudden he's half that number, but he's playing so damn good, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
But he's 12 to 1. He's ahead of Bryson. He's ahead of the defending champion Tyrrell Hatton. He's ahead of Patrick Reed. Can you imagine? I don't know if I could do a Hovland. Now, Hovland on DraftKings seems a little bit more likely of a place to play him, because you get a little discount on that. You get $600 off that. If you're DraftKings players, I mean, maybe you use them there, but maybe you don't use the 12 to 1 number. That's just too much for me. Reed presents the most value to me because I don't know if I can find it anymore, but I used to this morning be able to find a 20 to 1. Can you find a 20 to 1 on Patrick Reed?
Let me check. I do not see a 20 to 1. Actually, I do. My bookie has a 20.
Yeah, so if you wanted to maybe do that, I suppose if an elite guy at a good number or a juicier number, maybe that would be me. But I don't know. I'm going to flirt with the 20s. I'm going to go down in those 20s, dude, and I love it. You got Paul Casey, you got Sug JM, you got Matt Fitzpatrick, who I like. I'm surprised Luke doesn't like Matt Fitzpatrick. You can get him at 25 to 1. You got Louis Oosthuizen at 25 to 1. You got Hideki at 28 to 1. Why can't it be Fitzpatrick's week? Well, he's kind of ready and poised and due to break out. Played pretty well coming in, has definitely won and proven it on a different tour. Yes, it is the Euro Tour, technically the JV version of golf in the world, but ultimately the Euros, the internationals, the people not born in America are winning at this event. So then why can't Fitzpatrick be the winner of this event and break through? He's like 25 or 6 or 7. He's a young face and he's top 25 in the world. This is a disrespected human being. Luke disrespects him, and I'm betting him at 25 to 1. I don't care. I don't like that narrative of like, well, if he would have won, he would have won. But no, he's got to win at some point. And it could be this week. And at 25 to 1 against this field, I'm in.
I think
the house, though. No, I don't know about the house.
Is the house? Oh, that's a good question.
No, I don't know. Fitzpatrick? He's never won before. Am I going to put a house on somebody that's never won? Maybe. That'd be interesting.
Well, listen, here's sort of my take on Fitz. I think
because Fitz, you're a Fitz guy.
I sort of am a Fitz guy. I mean, I was on him last week. I think he was first round leader. He's made his home base here in Florida. Obviously, you mentioned the European Tour sort of contingent always seems to play well here and has won a lot. I don't know if that's maybe a little bit overhyped or overplayed, just because look, they're the ones that are playing this event. Like the top European tour players are all playing the API every year. It's a natural spot for them to go to. And we see a lot of the top American players skipping this event. So
True.
I just think they line up well. I think his approach game should suit him very well. I just worry that can he make enough putts on Sunday? That's the question.
It is a lot to do with the putter, but we've seen guys that rely on the putter, like Jason Kokrak. When he's going to win, he's going to be led by the putter because the rest of his game's pretty solid consistently. And that's the Matt Fitzpatrick. So you're betting the 25-1. You don't really know what's going to happen with the putter, but you're at 25-1. The only way that he's going to win is with the putter. So, yeah, of course, you got to worry about that. But let's go back to the betting board. Do you like any other names in this 20? Did you do Sung J M like Luke sweated out did?
Sung Jae and Pat Reed. I'm between Sung Jae just because I think he shook a little rust last week. I love him in Florida. It's an approach players course. It's guys who are good in wind. It's ball strikers. That's who wins in Florida. That's not necessarily always Patrick Reed's forte. But last week he was pretty damn good. I mean, 5.3 strokes he gained on approach last week. Everything else was basically flat, so he was doing it all with his approach, which isn't normally his thing. It's usually all with the short game. It's all with the putting. It's all with the scrambling. So I'll be very interested in him. He's won an event down here in Florida before. I don't know that he has I'd have to look it up, but I don't know that he has much course history here or great course history to speak of. So I'm between Reed and Sung Jae yet. It's just a little early in the week. I'm waiting kind of on it and haven't made that pull yet.
Okay, I wanted to ask you because this is kind of a thing that people are talking about this week. It's the players after this week. Is this a look ahead spot for guys like KC and Louis Oosthuizen? Are those the veteran names that may show up here? And if they're, hey, they had a double bogey. They had, they're not the grinding type, are they? If they're going to go to the players next week, which they definitely more or less. We know the guys that want to host the Players Trophy and not this trophy. Are the Casey? Is it the Louis? Do we fear about that?
I don't. I can't factor it in. It's just too subjective and too much trying to get into the player's head for me to really factor it in. I think this, traditionally it plays pretty tough, right? It's one of the lower finishing scores on tour every year, usually between like 8 and 15. So it's one thing if it's a birdie fest and it's going to be 22 under is going to win it, and you're 3 over through your front 9, then you can kind of eject. Here, if you're sitting around level par, you can always have a hot weekend and get yourself into contention. I'm not factoring it in this week. It is a little shift in the schedule with kind of the Honda getting moved behind the players and the players getting moved up and then Bay Hill in front of it. So, and then obviously you have the lead into the Masters. So I think everyone's just trying to play good golf right now. And this is a great spot to sort of test where your nerves are at, especially around these shortly mowed areas in the greens, these lightning fast greens with the sort of the undulations that this course presents. Be a good test, a fair test for these guys. I think they should all be looking forward to it.
Okay, before we leave the 20s, I wanted to mention that Sung J M has never played here.
Strange.
So this is his debut at the API.
Where doesn't like the first time he shows up?
Oh, just kidding. No.
I think it's Ben Cooley.
No, he's been third and third. Where am I looking?
Third and the third here. No way. Yeah?
That's what it says.
Okay.
I'm looking at Fantasy National. Last year he was T3. No, he was solo third.
Yeah,
holy shit.
He was. It was right after.
Because of course he was, because he's Sung J M and he loves to dominate Florida courses. You've seen it at the Honda. This is a Honda comp. And our guy Luke Sweated Out. We're not smarter than Luke Sweated Out. Of course you should go on Luke Sweated Out's Twitter page and see that he bet the most he is betting this week on Sung J M. So maybe we just are idiots. We should bet Sung J M. Okay, let's go back to the betting board and let's see. If you want to go into the 30s, you'll find Billy Horschel, who was the guy last week, the Bermuda Billy kind of, and he's 30-1. You got Francesco Molinari, who I like a lot, and you got Spieth in 30-1. You got Jason Day 35 and Jason Kokrak too. There's some decent number with the 30 on Molinari and a 30 on Jason Day. Do you have any interest in those names? Because Jason Day's won this, hasn't he? But he's also withdrawn a bunch. So are we worried about Day?
I'm not on Day. I took Molinari.
Yeah, same. I think Molinari is the one.
I got a 35. Is that what it's showing there, or a 30?
This book has 30.
I think that this is a good spot for him to sort of put his foot down and say, I'm back in this shit. And much like Luke said, he needs the Ryder Cup points. He needs something to go his way heading into major season and to regain some of that form where he seemed to be falling off a cliff last year. Played well on the West Coast, coming back to a spot where he's familiar, has good vibes. I've been trying to put a heavier lean on course history this year. It's great for him. Made a ton of putts on that ridiculous Sunday that he won where he shot a crazy round. In on Francesco. What about you?
Same.
You in on him? Okay, cool.
I mean, like, you know, part of me wants to be on him because our guest is also taking him as his preferred play of the week. But I woke up this morning with a gut feeling that it's Molinari week. And you know what? I texted my guy, Rob Hallway. Okay, so this kid I know from high school, Rob Hallway, we almost wanted him as a guest because he's got the best story ever. The year Molinari won, he was on the grounds at the Bay Hill Country Club, at the API, after volunteering the whole week on the driving range, which is kind of a cheat code in a way. If you can volunteer at the tournament, look at the driving range, study the players, and then you make a lineup and you drive the green, like that's cheating in my opinion. So he did this. And then he won $150,000 while he was walking around with his friends. My friend Rob Hallway, I went to high school with. This is a thing that happened to him in real life. It was amazing. So me and him been waiting. We've watched Molinari literally fucking before the Masters. We're like, wow, look at the form. This is better than we expected. And then so we were in on him at Masters, me and my buddy, and we're like, Molinari, he's a Molinari guy. Oh, Masters, not great. But okay, he faced, his demons and fears at number 12 and got over it and went over it. But okay, and then he comes back out. 2 top 10s. Oh my gosh, here we go. And you know what my buddy and I say to each other, this Rob guy? We say, Bay Hill, Bay Hill, Bay Hill. Molinari is going to be back at Bay Hill. And I've been waiting. And so at 33, 35, 30 to 1 at Bay Hill, at Molinari, like he wants to show it and prove it and say to everyone in the golf world, like, no, I'm not dead. And I'm legit. And don't bury me with my ball that went in the water.
He's back. He's back. Let's go.
So I've been on Molinari. Okay. But cool. Kokrak seems like the most misplaced here. Okay. He is 8,100 on DraftKings, which doesn't really make sense with the betting number of 35, 38, whatever you can get, because Molinari on DraftKings is 8,700. Jason Day on DraftKings is 9,200. So if you're going to use someone on DraftKings this week, maybe you look at, do you do this? Do you look at Kokrak at 8,100 on DraftKings and you see his betting number and you compare and you contrast, and does it make any difference to whether you use him on DraftKings?
It's interesting. No, not for me. Okay. Not that you shouldn't do that. I normally just kind of have an order of things that I do, and I normally go up after the betting board first, and then I do the Jock Market. I like to do my lineups like late Wednesday night. I like to wait until the very end to make any DraftKings lineups. So that's just me.
Okay. All right, let's go to the 40s where Sam Burns.
Yep.
Burns.
Burns.
Good God. I mean, like, now I want to be on Burns. I want to be the same thing that Luke said, where you don't want to miss him while the community hits him, even though we know that the community is also ultimately a death sentence. So I'm not sure if the community bet's going to hit, but I'd much rather be on it than off it. I don't want fear of missing out. Are you missing out on Burns this week? Or are you going to be a part of it?
I'm in on Burns. I took a 50 on Burns this morning. It was the first bet I made. I was interested in it.
But you got 50 because that thing is drifting.
Yeah. He rated out like either second or third in the model I ran. Obviously, he's playing tremendously. I don't know that this is the best setup for him, but he's coming back to Florida where he has a good history, and I just think he's on the precipice of getting that victory. If it lasts much longer than this year, I'm going to start to worry about that sort of clutch factor. But and Rick has talked about it on the show that I do with him. He calls them Sammy ceilings because the ceiling with Sam Burns is elite, and like he is very close to Victor Hovland, and he's very close to these young guys that are right up there. He just needs that victory. He just needs that little bit of confidence to, reassure himself that he belongs. It's time. 50 to 1 in this type of field. I think it's a very good spot for him.
Okay, well then, do you have any interest in the young man Zalatoris, who played great off, well, I guess approach and tee to green last week, but couldn't putt, and he's 50-1. Are we ready to go in on Zalatoris yet? And then you have Homa, Leishman, and
I
Na.
know.
Oh,
it's like all those guys there, I think you can make a case for it. Even Tommy. Although the Tommy's form has been so bad, but I think you can make a case because when you look at his form on something like Fantasy National, it's not factoring in how he finished the season on the European Tour, and it's not factoring in the Masters, which he played really well there because they don't have strokes gained stats at either of those. So you're pulling a lot of really old data with Tommy. That's why it's so terribly in your models. So keep that in mind when looking at Tommy. But Homa, I don't know, man. I expected a major letdown last week, and he played really well.
Well, we got Coach Beeve asking a question about Homa. Homa, his odds this week, it seems bad. Like they should be better odds, considering he's just coming off a win. I fear the fatigue factor. That's what I've been touting this for months and years, and Martins makes fun of me because I use the word fatigue. And I'm wondering if they're fatigued, tired, sort of ready for a letdown. The candle, Joe, can only burn for so long before there's no more wax, and you got to get a new candle. And that's the metaphor, analogy.
I don't know. You can make a case for Homa. You can make a case against him. Zalatoris is another one who this number just seems strange. It seems like a couple of weeks ago you drop him in this event at Bay Hill in this field, and you would be expecting 25 to 30-1. And this is kind of you're catching a little bit of drift here with Zalatoris. Obviously, the approach numbers are fantastic. It's the number one thing I'm looking at here: approach, ball striking.
This feels like a Morikawa.
We'll see. Yeah, very interesting in how that. I haven't bet him yet. Only Burns for me, but interested in Zalatoris and Homa.
The thing about Zalatoris is that we just haven't seen him prove it yet. So it's the little bit of what Luke was saying about Fitzpatrick, where you just are hesitant because it's just you haven't seen him break that tape and go over the finish line and win the race. Let's go to the 60s, and you only have one guy. You have Harris English. Any interest in English, or is he having a classic post-win letdown?
No, not playing Harris English. He's terrible right now.
Okay,
I did take actually someone in the 60s. Someone I never take. I took, you know who it is because you sent me the tweet earlier. I took Justin Rose. What do they have him at?
He started practicing finally?
Yeah, I took Justin Rose at 66-1.
Okay, well, you can find him at the DraftKings Sportsbook at 70-1.
Yes.
Now, I fear that's the same thing I said about Casey at the beginning, where it's like, do you fear they're looking ahead? Because you know these guys, they're like when Adam Scott admitted that there's only so many tournaments they care about, and the other ones are fluff and fake. That's maybe not. I mean, Bay Hill and Arnold Palmer, it's a pretty respectable tournament, but it's not the Players. It doesn't have the purse of the Players.
Right. It's a big tournament, but it's not the RSM Classic. Like this is
that's true.
One. This is one that he's going to want to win. This is one that we've seen big time players, European Tour type players win, whether it be obviously with Rory Molinari. We've seen these guys come over here, Hatton, and win. So I think this is a spot that he should feel comfortable with. I think it's just a really big number on Justin Rose. And if he can have a good ball striking week, I trust his short game. I trust his putting. It's just going to come down to his off the tee and his iron play. And I think that he's close. I like that he's getting back with his little session with his coach today. But he is definitely, when you look at these names around him, those guys above him on the board, Griffin, Grillo, Kisner, Davis, Bez, and I love Cam Davis, but Bezudenhout, Justin Rose is in another class. And I hope that he can kind of find that form this week and you're catching a little bit of drift.
Now, I've won a GPP with Justin Rose on DraftKings. I know Justin Rose definitely shows up and plays hard at times. My fear is that he is in a look-ahead spot, and he's pretending to the world that he is trying and he's practicing with his coach. Like, this is what he does. He pretends, and he acts like he's a fucking fraud. And I've seen it, and it makes me nervous. But at 70-1, I'll put a couple bucks on that because it's 70-1.
I don't think it's that bad of a tournament, though. Like, this is like a very – it has some prestige to it. It has Arnold Palmer's name to it. Like, it's on a good golf course.
But they're going to get their ass kicked.
It's an invitational, but it's like – I don't know, man. Like if Cecil was in here, he'd come after you and be like, why is he showing up? Because he wants
the problem is this dude shows up to do a Hublot watch in a fucking advertisement, and then what he'll do is he'll have a triple bogey, and then he'll have another bogey, and then he'll be close where he can make the cut if he grinds out the last 6 holes. You will watch this with Justin Rose, and then what'll happen is he'll lag putt some 35-footer to 15 feet, and you'll be like on Shot Tracker on Friday afternoon, you'll be like, what the fuck was that putt? And he does it on purpose. And
so
it pisses me off. And
he's going to intentionally leave a putt short to get an early trip in the Porsche up to Sawgrass?
He's insane, and he will do that. I've seen him do that. He's done that to me. Martins and I have complained about it. JP Morgan may drop him as a sponsor if he does this, but I feel like this is something that has happened. Now, I'm a little crazy, so maybe you don't take that opinion too seriously, but Charlie says I know things.
Any long shots for you? Let's talk about
Sorry for that rant. Okay, we're almost done with the pod tonight, and we're going to the 70s. And you know what? I feel like the 70s with the Lantos, the Griots, the Kisners, and stuff like that, you can go with the top 10, top 5 on that. I'm not going to do that, though. I've got some long shots, but I wanted to ask you before I talked about my love for Corey Connors, because I already bet him, although he's missed 2 cuts here, and he's coming off a miscut. But I think at the 110, I like that value. Do you have any bets up here? Do you have your guy? Because there's a guy that you always bet, and his name is Cameron Davis, and he is here. Did you bet him at 80 or 90?
I would have loved that number. He was in the 60s. Haven't taken him yet. Did take a good number on another one of my guys, and it's Lanto. He was 100-1. I think he's I think he's a good top 10 play this week. But he was really, really good on approach last week. I think he was 4th in the field in strokes gained approach at concession there. Jacksonville guy now, so it's should have some familiarity here. And he always gains strokes putting. I would say that is the strength of Lanto Griffin's game. He lost.
Lanto was like 10th in approach.
He was 10th in approach? Okay, maybe I was looking of the guys that are playing this week that played last week.
Sure. Yeah, okay. So, he's only behind Hovland and Reed and Munoz.
He was in the top 15% then, roughly, last week of guys in approach. Finished okay. I just think it's a good setup for him. I think his game sets up very nicely here.
Before we leave the segment and be done with the pod for the night, do you have any interest in Fowler at 90?
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but no.
Yeah, I don't think I do either because he was saved by his putter.
It feels weird because like he could do something, and I'm going to look like an idiot for not being on Fowler at 90 because I'm a long shot guy. But I just no. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I feel like no, especially Joe when you could get a guy like Sebastian Munoz down here.
Yeah,
this is crazy that he's 110 or 125 or whatever you could find Sebastian Munoz. This guy, Sebastian Munoz, is being criminally disrespected. I'm just angry about this. I need to rant about it a little bit. Do you know who Munoz is? He is a winner on Bermuda at the Sanderson Farms. I first paid attention to him very closely at that Sanderson Farms win when he beat my baby boy Sung J M, who was going for his first win. And then since then, dude is solid, including the last few months. I mean, I have seen him. Top 10 at CJ Cup, top 15 at the Zozo, top 20 at the Masters. This dude is coming in. He is confident, and he is low priced on DraftKings. He is 125-1 with a legit chance of winning. I don't normally say this about a guy at 125-1, but because he's Sebastian Munoz, nobody fucking wants him. He's 28 years old, Colombian guy, played Texas golf at North Texas with Carlos Ortiz. He's been on the tour for a long time now. He's 5 years into this thing. He's already got a win, like I said, and he builds on confidence. We know he likes Bermuda. And if you get him on Bermuda, you're going to get a good play out of him, no matter what. Joe, 19 top 25s in the last 2 or 18 months or so. 19. Wow. And since 2019. That's out of 59 total events that he's played. He has 19 top 25s. That's 32%. A third of the time he's in the top 25, and he's 110-1, and that's a top 10 bet easily that could actually hit, and you can get 10-1 on him maybe. So that's my guy, and he's a sneaky Jock Market guy.
He is he would make a great Jock Market play. I'll be just surprised to see how popular he is. I think he's a great DraftKings play. And I think you made a lot of good points about how he's a good betting outright play. The number's too big there. There's a couple of guys like I have interest in that I haven't pulled the trigger in. A couple of Euro guys Noren and Matt Wallace, both of them are 125 to 1. Noren, I've just seen a lot of things click with some form. He just needs to put it together a little bit more consistently, has a good track record in Florida. Matt Wallace, I think, has a top 5 finish here before, so he's coming off Puerto Rico where he didn't play too well last week, but could be a good spot for him. And the other guy, I think I might have to go back to Doc.
No.
He's 200 to 1, Chad.
I know, because of the results are the.
I know.
Hey, listen, I got many more names.
Top 10 at like 15 to 1.
But
it's a ball striker's course. The ball striking has been there. His putting has sucked. His short game has sucked. I think the short game is a bit mitigated here. The putting coming back to Bermuda grass where he lives. I don't know. It's
that's
just
a little bit of a homer pick. I'll let you get away with that one.
It's a huge number.
Someone asked us about Matt Jones, who I prefer. I like him. Matt Jones is on a sneaky good run. And actually, I clicked his name on Fantasy National and I looked it up and he likes Bermuda. So I like Matt Jones. I'm going to pick him on probably Jock Market. A very low owned and unpopular guy. There are other names on Jock Market that you could go after. You could go after Andrew Putnam, who loves the grass and loves putting on Bermuda, and it was the 7th at Waste Management Phoenix Open and was just 5th at the Puerto Rican Open last week. So Andrew Putnam probably won't get much love. You got Kazire. I've been on Kazire on Jock Market, and you can get him for like $3-4, and you can pay 7, 8, 10. It's great, and he loves Bermuda. He hasn't missed a cut since September. You got Kyle Stanley, another low-owned guy, and maybe somebody on Jock Market you can get for cheap. He's had a 12th year, a 17th year, a 14th year playing better. I'll consider Kyle Stanley.
Coulter played pretty well as well overseas. Or he's an Orlando guy. Yeah.
He comes here and it's like his home course, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not his home.
So he's made 10 straight cuts, 10 straight years.
Yeah.
Ian Poulter. So just go with that veteran guy. I mean, you want a guy that's going to automatically make the cut on Jock Market if you can get him at $3. This is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So then do you focus in on Orlando guys like that? Like Hideki? Isn't he Orlando?
Hideki?
Yeah, I think he's out here.
I have no idea about that.
I read that somewhere.
Really? That's interesting. I guess I just never assumed Hideki lived over here, but he kind of has to have a home, right?
Right.
He's definitely got one. Interesting. Okay. So not so much just Orlando guys, but I think just guys who are down here in Florida. It's weird. It's a strange place to play golf, particularly around the greens. And there's so much water. So guys who maybe aren't the longest hitters but can keep it in play off the tee, particularly out here, and it becomes an approach player's course. So guys who with course history, guys with familiarity to the region, all big pluses in my book. I think there's a lot of guys that are live in this range to at least make a top 10, top 20 play.
Okay, so then to follow our preferred plays, you can follow Joe Idone at Tour Picks on Twitter. And then you can follow me doing the house bet Wednesday afternoon, and you got my tallies that layer a little bit after at Edina Real Cheat. And again, thank you for showing up, for commenting along. We appreciate all the people in the chat. We got James in here. We got Jesse in here. We got Charlie in here. We got all sorts of names. It's great.
The house bet, Coach. Man. Talk about the house bet. The house bet.
Oh, God. How great was that?
That's the best thing on Twitter right now.
How funny is that? Well,
it's so funny because, like, I feel like 80% of the people get it and they understand that my guy Chad here is kind of a low stakes player. He's not betting like the mortgage every week.
Not a real house.
That, and they get the joke, and he's a realtor, obviously. But then 20% of people like get mad because they're like, "What?" It just pisses people off too, which makes it so much better.
Oh, like, wait, your house is $15? You fucking loser. No, The truth is that I was scrolling through Twitter one day, like a couple months ago. I saw this at the house. Like, I didn't create this or come up with this. If you stole from me, you stole twice.
So it's a copy-paste thing? How do you even do it?
I don't know. Like, people are creative and they create like things.
And then what? You just copy that and then just
yeah. So then like, yeah, I copied that whole house thing.
I thought you added in, type that in.
Yeah, and then I added in where I don't know. I just edited it a little bit, but I didn't come up with this thing on my own. And I thought it'd be fun to put whoever I have the most money on a house bet, because I'm a realtor. That's all it is. It's $10 or $50, which I'm happy was 15 this week. Joe, I think the Morikawa win this week might have been the biggest win I've ever had in my betting career.
When you factor in, like, you made another 400 on Jock Market too. It was great.
669. Don't short me.
Awesome, dude. Awesome stuff, man. It was good to see. And I'm glad the house bet hit because it was starting to catch a little bit of heat.
True.
And it's
good stuff. Dude,
it's hard. Like, it's hard to throw one guy out there. So you had so you lost what, 7 houses in the process of getting.
I think there were 7.
Now you just bought 40 houses. So
exactly.
You're 33 houses
away from being given shit to. Correct. So if next year at this time,
let's talk houses, right? You're plus 33 houses in the 2021 season. We'll keep track of this throughout the year and see how many houses you're up.
I love it. And I love everyone like that's supporting of me and like has, you know, fun with it, because like there are guys out there that have fun with me and that know that this is just for fun. And this is not to put like, my brothers, I told them, you know, they know I won the house bet. My brothers are on a text thread with me and they're like, oh, are you pulling out the money? I'm like, $600? Pulling out the money? No, it's amazing. And actually, Joe, I put $5 here and $10 here. So on both my books, I got like, I'm flush. It's so great this morning, logging in and just being like, okay, how much on burns this week? Are we going to burn? But really, it's fun. And then, you know what? You only can win once. So it was great. And I'm going to win again. So you best be following me on Idone Realty on Twitter. And we're going to go again. House bet Wednesday, noon. Let's do it. But thank you again for watching, liking, subscribing, rating, and reviewing, following along. We appreciate you guys. Let's get this music done and get the hell out of here because it's over an hour.
Peace.
Okay, if you stayed this far and you're not turning us off yet, okay, back to back, Chad. Okay, James is asking me, who do I lean so far right now today? And I actually am leaning our guest's preferred play, Francesco Molinari. But, Joe, I like the idea of tweeting, about to burn some money on Burns.
Yeah, burn the house down, baby.
So maybe stay tuned. We don't know what we're going to do. And it might be Fitzpatrick. I haven't done it yet, so we'll see. But thanks for watching. Joe, it's been as good. See you next week.